Hello and welcome to your in-depth weekly horoscope for week commencing the 12th of September for the Sun or the Ascendant. I'm going to give you a flavour of what to expect this week for us all collectively, but please stay with me as I dive deep and give you each of the 12 zodiac signs in forensic detail. Now, late last week there was a full moon in the sign of Pisces, but it was angling to Uranus, the planet of change and the planet of truth. And you know, if we can use that more innovative energy of Uranus as we come into this week, it would be a good thing to do. And that means being open to fresh approaches. But we can take a fresh approach to either our spiritual, emotional and psychological well-being or to our physical well-being. And it means that the available energy we do have is likely to be limited somewhat. And therefore we need to apply it to things that are really meaningful, and that means prioritizing. However, the Sun is linking brilliantly to Pluto. When they're in a trine, this can see us changing something physically in our world, but also can trigger deep changes within us. And sometimes Pluto pushes us to change things before we're even conscious that that actually might be a good thing for us. Also, there is an opposition between Mercury and the other ruler of Pisces, Jupiter. And this is going to be going on right from now, right through to the end of the month. And they're both in retrograde, and in their own way they both have an impact on travel but also ideas. So I think it's important that we stay quite grounded around our ideas and philosophies. We may find ourselves or see generally quite a lot of different viewpoints competing against one another. I know that's quite a feature of modern life, but it can be even more prevalent. But if you are journeying anywhere or you're thinking of buying a new mode of transport, it's just asking us to try to stay very realistic, keep one foot on terra firma. Now, all week, Venus and Mars are also in somewhat of a squabble. And Venus in the sign of Virgo, along with the Sun, it's not its best location. It's known as being in full. And Mars is in Gemini, so what you've got is the quick ideas of Mars in Gemini competing with the rather more cautious and practical energies of Venus in Virgo, but not quite so affectionate and openly sharing of emotion. And also the quarter moon, which occurs on Saturday, reflects that square between Venus and Mars because it's in Gemini, and that can create quite a lot of frenetic energy. So we've got nervous energy washing around this week, and then we've got the physical drive of Virgo being challenged by the moon position and then Neptune. So energy a little bit sensitive, and important that if we're going through changes, the changes we're trying to achieve are achievable. And I think it's just all about slowing things down and just making sure the things we're working on are the most meaningful and important strands and not getting scattered too much. So Capricorn, your week commencing the 12th of September forecast continues to see the Sun and Venus in adventurous part of your situation. That adventure could be in a physical sense, or it could be in terms of adventuring through your senses, because Venus can be very sensual. But we also find with Venus in the 9th house, like here, that it's on a mission to get to the truth of how things are. So interesting. Opposite is Neptune, the Sun this week. It could mean that some conversations you have could seem a little bit baffling. You know, it may be that you seem to be talking to someone, you may even get on with them perfectly well ordinarily, but you can't seem to sort of get it quite clear, either of you, exactly what you're trying to say. So a bit of confusion. Also, if you're traveling this week with Neptune opposite the Sun across the 9th and 3rd houses, plan things carefully. Also, the two planets of travel are in opposition. But actually, Mercury retrograde in your 10th house suggests that maybe there's something that you're discussing or thinking about in terms of your work situation. Jupiter in the 4th house could mean that you are actually literally thinking about a property situation, because they're both in retrograde, and this combination can provoke a kind of sense of over optimism. I would just stay, with one foot on terra firma. But the Sun in your 9th house does link brilliantly to Pluto in your sign. So if you're very driven towards changing your situation and really altering it in some kind of big way, freeing yourself, becoming independent from something that isn't working for you any longer, then that can be a mighty aspect. But your ruler Saturn is still clamped by the rather erratic energies of Uranus, and Saturn's in your sector of everyday resources, and we all know that we're facing big headwinds in terms of costs. So it's probably not the best of times to be too speculative around your resources, even with Jupiter and Mercury in opposition. But the Sun, in some kind of way, wants you to bring a greater sense of variety or spontaneity to your world. But Neptune in the mix, just proceed with a degree of caution. Now, Venus in your 9th house is squaring with Mars in the 6th. Is there somebody that you're drawn to, but for some reason or another they live too far away, or they've got work or other commitments? It's possible. Also, at the end of this week, the quarter moon in Gemini is again arousing the 6th, 9th house energy of Mars and Venus. 6th, 9th house energy is where we should be doing some things, the obligations, being reliable, doing the things that are a little dull but are necessary, and they're coming up against the desire at the moment that you have to be much more free-spirited.